This is according to the Independent in relation to the vaccine. I mean, most of the nurses that I have already spoken with on at the hospital already, they're like, I ain't taking that shit. They're like, they rushed it. There's no way I'm taking that vaccine. But for many people, I kind of doubt. I mean, realistically speaking, they're probably going to make it difficult for people not to take it. I mean, already with the flu vaccine, with just the normal flu, I noticed that the hospital had changed the wording. Previously, if you didn't want to take it, you didn't have to take it. They didn't. You weren't in essence mandated to take it. And if you didn't want to take it, or if it was against like your religious reasons, or if you were allergic, it wasn't really a big thing. And of course, nowadays I had noticed that they had sent out an email that slightly changed the wording, where you either had to get like a doctor's note for why you couldn't refuse the flu vaccine, and then even if you had like some sort of religious reasons, in the wording it stated that you had to, that like, they will let you know if they deemed your religious reasons like worthy of not taking the vaccine. So I had a buddy of mine who was like he doesn't take the flu shot, and so which part of the new wording was, if you don't take the vaccine, then you have to do like some sort of like learning, like education, e-learning, or like to get brainwashed about why you should take the vaccine, whatever. And so a buddy of mine, of course, he just normally doesn't take the flu shot, and so they were giving him like a little bit of a hard time, and he was like, every year I don't take it, like it's nothing new, and he's been there, quite some time. And so they were like, well, you need to go to, because he's like, I don't take it, and they were like, well, you need to get a doctor's note. And he's like, what am I going to get the doctor to say? And they're like, well, you need to get the doctor to write a note about why you can't take the vaccine. So he was just like, you know what? I don't take it for religious reasons. And I guess he kind of skirted by. But the big question is, especially with this particular vaccine, because of how political and how politicized, especially here in the United States, how politicized things are going. The question is, with all these different companies coming out, I mean, recently Pfizer announced today that due to, what was it, disruption in the chain, that in the manufacturing chain, that they were like, whatever number that they said that they were going to release, like we have like 100 million or whatever it was that we can create, they're like, we made a mistake and we can only send out 50%. That news came out today towards the end of the market, like in the last, I think the last like 20 minutes I was trading the market in the last 20 minutes, and then the news came out that Pfizer had made that announcement, and the Pfizer stock just completely fell out of bed. It was up like, I don't know, $1.50, and then it closed down negative. So then people were like, oh, I wonder if Moderna is going to have similar problems, because obviously if you have supply chain disruptions, it's not something that is exclusive to Pfizer. But with that said, as you can see from the article, the title of the article, it says, Pfizer given protection from legal action by the UK government. Pfizer's UK boss refuses to explain why the business needs protection from legal action. And of course, it goes on to say, ministers have also changed the law in recent weeks to give new protections to companies such as Pfizer, giving them immunity from being sued by patients in the event of any complications. So not only is Pfizer basically immune from legal action, but the NHS staff providing the vaccine, as well as the manufacturers, are also protected. So you have the people who designed the drug, then you'll have like the nursing staff or whatever other staff that they're going to utilize for administering the drug. And of course, I'm sure the hospital will be included in this as well. I'm sure the government will, obviously you're not going to be able to sue the government. And then of course, where they're locally manufacturing are basically all given immunity if something were to go wrong. And of course, this is an mRNA vaccine. I think someone had posted from the UK, where was it? Let me see if I can look up real quick, from the UK government, as you can see right here. So this is some of the information in relation to fertility, right? For all you ladies out there, right? And it says, fertility, it is unknown whether such and such mRNA vaccine has an impact on fertility, right? Because obviously they haven't really studied the vaccine for all that long, especially like when you think about it. I mean, they just really started working on this thing, what, 6 months ago, if that? And the announcement came out like right after the election. but you know that they were sitting on this information, like whatever information that they had, you know that they were sitting, like literally one came out after another. And it's like, what are the odds of all these different companies literally coming out like 1 week after each? First you had Pfizer, then Moderna, and then the one in, what was it, Oxford University, they were like, oh, we got a vaccine too, right? And it's like, what are the chances of all these, all these different companies coming out with the vaccine that they have their own vaccine? It wasn't like they were given information or it said anything about that. Like each one came out with their own vaccine with like different efficacy rates. And it's like I said, like I said in a lot of my other videos and talking about this, the more that you put up with it, the more that you get, and it just gets worse. And of course, we don't hear a lot of this sort of type of information. According to Zero Hedge, Philadelphia priest dies after participating in Moderna COVID vaccine trial. As millions of elderly prepare to take the vaccine, it says, according to numerous reports, this can elicit some pretty serious post-second dose side effects for a day or so. It says it has reported that Ukrainian Greek Catholic priest died at his PA home after participating in Moderna vaccine trial. The cause of death the cause of death isn't yet known, and it's unclear whether his participation in the trial for the new mRNA vaccine is connected to the death. And I say no thank you. I appreciate the offer, but I am not interested. I will trust my immune system to do its job. You can keep your vaccine. Thank you very much. And then, of course, another article goes on to say that the czar says, the vaccine czar says side effects significantly noticeable in 10 to 15% of participants. And this is as of December 1st. I was just like, yeah, no, I ain't taking that shit. And of course, recently, what was it, Joe Biden? I think Joe Biden posted, as he says here, Joe Biden says that he will ask all Americans to wear a mask for his first 100 days of administration. And of course, he follows Dr. Fauci. And of course, Dr. Fauci is, and he does favor lockdown. So for all of you guys that are having all these lockdowns, like here in New York, and of course in places like California, if this man gets into office, there will be another complete global, state who try to mandate statewide, and in many of these democratic states, they will follow. You already see it right now. You already see it in New York. You already see it in California. So wherever a Democrat is in charge of their state, a lockdown will be seen. And there have been some Republican governors who have said, they're not going to lock down. But you never know how the federal government will try at that point to finagle for Republican governors basically to fall in line. Have to wait and see how that's going to go. But I'll leave the link for this article. It's like, shoot, man, it's like, and I think about from healthcare worker standpoint, right? As a nurse, they're going to try. I know that we were all talking, we've been talking about this for days. They're like, everybody knows, everybody at the hospital, we all talk about, and they're like, I ain't taking that shit. But what's going to happen if the hospital tries to mandate you in some way, shape, or form? They might say, you don't have to take it, but they may put these restrictions on you, right? As much as the government has invested billions and billions and billions of dollars have been invested in all these different companies, right? And the narrative has to go away somehow, right? This narrative of the virus has to go away somehow. Many people who actually believe that it's genuine, it's not genuine. You actually look at the numbers, you see that there's a lot of misinformation going on, there's a lot of lying that's going on. Most of the, like I said, most of the patients I take care of that are, have the virus are asymptomatic. And they're not even there for the virus. They're not even there for anything related to the virus. I was talking to a PA just the other night, and she's sitting here telling me, oh, the other unit has so many of these patients, and I went to go see one of them, and he coughed up coffee ground emesis. And I couldn't believe it that, I didn't know that could happen. I'm like, well, what you're describing to me is that the patient has a GI bleed, right? And she's like, no, they're there for the virus. And I'm like, but the symptoms that you're describing to me about the patient are GI symptoms, right? The patient has a GI bleed. Maybe they have an ulcer, right? But this is what happens when people get so indoctrinated that even when they see evidence to the contrary, they refuse to believe even what they see with their very eyes.